In Hampshire, the traffic cops are hitting the roads in force.
If this goes pear-shaped, we ain't got a hope in hell.
Reminding motorists that there are laws to be obeyed.
People got to understand that these cars are potential loaded weapons.
And trying to put the brakes on bad drivers before innocent people get hurt.
Witnesses have said that he was going quite fast.
These are the people that we want to target, the real arrogant, drunk, drugged, uninsured drivers. They're the ones that we should be hitting the hardest.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet here.
On the south coast, the Hampshire traffic cops have swapped their high-powered patrol cars for a more gentle mode of transport. PC Pete Hayward and PC Steve Woodward have got tickets to ride on the Isle of Wight. They're going over there to help police a gathering of boy racers who have organised a custom car cruise to show off their wheels.
Yeah, we'll be there in about 15, 20 minutes, I think.
The traffic cops don't have to make the journey from the mainland often, but it's not the first time PC Woodward has been there.
A couple of years ago, I very stupidly let it be known that I used to live on the island. It was only a passing comment, and within seconds I found myself on the boat going over to police the Isle of Wight for the afternoon, and I hadn't been over there for years.
There is a small traffic unit on the island, but they've called in reinforcements because of the large number of car enthusiasts expected tonight.
Paul Bailey, who was the acting sergeant, and he's the one that had all the intelligence. The figures were 200 plus, which is an awful lot of people.
The last memorial cruise event they did, we arrested 2 for impaired driving, and the intelligence we've got to date has indicated approximately 6 vehicles will be driving around with drugs.
Whilst the vast majority of them are very law-abiding and all they want to do is show off their cars to other enthusiasts, there is an element there that do cause problems.
Back on the mainland, news is coming in of a serious accident in Fareham. A car has left the road and smashed into a tree. The nearest traffic cops on duty are having to come from Cosham, a 10-minute high-speed dash away.
A female trapped in the vehicle in Undergrove.
The controllers have reported that a woman is trapped in the wreckage of her car. PC's Mick Batten and Ian Connor are preparing for the worst.
We've been to a lot of RTIs, serious RTIs and fatals. You just go into like an automatic mode almost.
Whilst we were listening to the updates coming in, we were aware that it was a serious incident, and usually mentally you're already calculating how you're going to deal, what you're going to do when you get there.
Other emergency services and local police have got to the crash first.
Charlie 08, stage 6.
Now the traffic cops will take command.
The whole road was occupied by sort of vehicles and people and fire engines, etc. So I walked up the pavement to the scene, and the car was actually in the woods, gone in backwards.
The car was a Mazda sports car.
It wasn't really recognisable as the car it was. It just looked like a heap of metal with somebody trapped inside it. Because of the number of fire personnel around it, it was difficult to actually see what was going on.
She's got significant injuries to her lower limbs. Are we talking potentially life-threatening at the moment? Potentially.
When you see a car with that level of damage, and especially when you see trees that have been sort of chopped down by the impact, you're very lucky if you actually survive it.
Basics doctor, Dr. Rees, who's in there treating the casualty, has said that her injuries are potentially life-threatening.
The traffic cops have discovered that the Mazda wasn't the only vehicle involved in the crash. There was also a BMW X5, but there's no sign of its driver.
The X5 I actually missed to start with. I think that was because it was a dark colour and it was actually in the undergrowth, so I actually missed that. I tended to focus on where all the other emergency personnel were, which is around the Mazda.
This vehicle's apparently been coming down here. It's left some quite significant marks. It's obviously lost control, gone into the trees. There's another vehicle up here which is partially embedded in the undergrowth as well. That's apparently involved. The driver of that has decamped and left the scene. We don't know whether he's injured. We don't know the level of his involvement. I assume that he's had some interaction with this car for him to go off the road and to then run off.
The traffic cops treat any potential death on the road like a murder, so they have sealed off the crime scene and are tracking down who is responsible for the crash.
When Mick was in the wood, I got the updates from the original officers that arrived at the scene.
So we've called Sussex helicopter to come across, check the woods, because we don't know how many people are in the vehicles.
The divisional units had already called for a dog. If there was a decamp situation, you've got to act as quickly as you can to pick up a track. It was possibly more difficult because there were so many people at the scene quite quickly, which would confuse a decent track for a dog.
As well as looking for any occupants who have fled from the BMW, the search is on for someone else from the sports car.
There should be someone else from the car. She's in the wrong seat. There should be a driver.
Thank you. Update from the doctor at the scene. He thinks there may well have been somebody else in the vehicle. He wants a full sweep done of the woodland. Can I have as many officers who are floating around the scene to my position, please, so that we can sweep through the woods, and I'm going to need some additional lighting.
The mangled wreckage of the sports car which had been trapping the woman has been cut away. She's still alive, but she still can't be freed.
She did sort of pass in and out of consciousness several times while we were there. I think one of the reasons the doctor thought there might be a passenger in the vehicle was because I think it was her son's name she repeated a couple of times and thought he should have been there.
Basics doctors are over there at the moment. She's apparently stable. She's quite badly trapped by her right leg, which is snapped, I think, halfway down her shin, and it's folded back underneath her, which is a problem with getting her out. So it's an open fracture of her right leg, which is now pinned beneath her as well.
On the Isle of Wight, news of the crash is reaching PC Hayward and PC Woodward.
You are required for this flow job in Southampton.
Both Hayward and Woodward are family liaison officers, and one of them is going to have to return to the mainland.
Yeah, I think it's a conspiracy, but I'll be on the next boat of it. It transpired that the only two FLOs on in the whole of the county were me and him, and we were both on the Isle of Wight.
At the crash scene, a man has been found hiding in the undergrowth by the police dog.
I set her off at the track there. She's picked up his track in the field, tracked along the fence, and he's there. He's actually the other side of the fence, which is a high chain link fence, but he's on the other side, and she's just picked him up and started barking at him.
The man has admitted being in the BMW when it crashed, but claims it's not his, and he can't remember who was driving.
We've got a witness who saw the accident happen, and she says that she approached the driver and her description matches the gentleman that we've got in the back. So in her opinion, yeah, he was the driver. She didn't see any passengers or any rear passengers, so she thinks he's the driver.
I was racking my brains because I recognised him. He looked familiar to me. And of course, you know, we're detaining and arresting and meeting an awful lot of people in our travels. And I was trying to think who the hell it was, because I knew him from somewhere. But initially I couldn't place it until I heard a name.
I nicked the family at Christmas. Right. Last Christmas Day, an escort came off, three of them, all the family, and they came off at junction 7, up Rochester, didn't stop for the traffic lights, took the whole lot out, all decamped, all got caught, but we didn't have enough to stick it on. But I bet it's the same family.
I suddenly realised that I'd actually arrested this same man on Christmas Day 2004.
When was the last time you had a drink?
All day long.
Yeah, when was the last drink that you had?
About half an hour ago.
Okay, and have you had a smoke at all?
I don't smoke.
You don't smoke, okay. All I need you to do is seal your lips around the tube and just blow a nice steady breath until I tell you to stop.
But I never drove.
He is still insisting he wasn't the driver. It's exactly the same story that sank Connor's case against him last time.
I believe that you're the driver of one of the vehicles involved in that accident.
There was insufficient evidence on descriptives given by the witnesses to definitely say who was in the driving seat. and CPS, Crown Prosecution Service, wouldn't run any of it.
I never drove.
Okay, well that will be...
This guy tried to attack me, he tried to hit me, but he was that drunk he fell over.
You failed to supply me a specimen there. Now, okay, if you keep on doing that, then that's an arrestable offence on its own. Okay? It doesn't have to be overly hard, it's just a nice steady breath, but keep blowing until I tell you to stop, okay? It's ready again. Now keep going. Blow, that's it, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, that's fine. Now, the green light's come on to say that you have got alcohol in your breath. It's gone to amber and it's gone to red, so I have to point out to you that you have also been arrested for supplying a positive specimen of breath, okay?
Makes you angry, really, because it's almost like he got away with it once and he's come back and done it again. But this time he's actually caused some real damage.
The injured woman is free at last. She's still alive.
We've got scenes of crime coming out.
Yes.
We'll take advice on them on recovery. It might be where there's such obvious contact between the two vehicles that we can prove that.
Traffic cop Sergeant Wayne Voller is the senior investigating officer.
The more complicated, the more serious the crash, the more resources will be pumped in. In this case, although the lady's not died, she's suffered massive injuries, and it's a complicated investigation.
What side was she in? That side?
Her legs are basically trapped down here, and she was laying across here, so her head was here, and her legs were... I mean, if you see, we've still got the tree stuck in the...
Somehow, that little car snapped off that great big tree, and the tree was carried into the woods with the car. But it bent the car banana-shaped round it.
I just can't believe that, you know, this wasn't an instantaneous fatal, because of the amount of intrusion down here, and all this has come across on the driver, just incredible.
That's as bad a smashed up car as I've ever seen that someone's got out of it alive.
Across the water, on the Isle of Wight, the action is getting underway. There's nothing illegal about the young car fanatic showing off their modified vehicles, but PC Hayward is on hand, just in case.
So what, there's a hell of a lot here, isn't there? If this goes pear-shaped, we ain't got a hope in hell. We ain't going to control this. We have to police the roads to make sure that they don't do stupid things, because in the past they tend to they drive around screeching, they do all sort of handbrake turns, and people get injured and people get killed. A lot of them are very nice cars. They put a lot of money into them.
To the east of the scene, in the wooded area.
We could hear what was going on the motorway channel. And obviously my sergeant being the senior investigating officer, and that, I obviously privileged to know a bit more about the investigation and how big it was.
Charlie 08, is the dog unit still somewhere local?
Given the opportunity, I think I'd have done the role reversal, because I'd rather been involved and doing what we can over there.
PC Woodward has arrived from the Isle of Wight. Before he speaks to the woman's family, he needs to get the latest word on the investigation.
He's not saying anything at all, and he's certainly not saying he's the driver, but I think we can prove he is.
There was a clear determination right from the word go that we would do our best to bring this man to justice.
There are problems too for the crash investigation team. They have reconstructed the moment of impact, which shows that the BMW struck the sports car from behind.
So it's finding items on this vehicle here which match up the damaged area on the car here, which quite clearly tells us the overlap that we have is this much of overlap between the two vehicles. What we have up through here relates to the damage up through here. It all ties in with the damage in relation to the road layout.
But they cannot prove that it had been speeding, despite what the witnesses have said.
We've got witness evidence that says the X5 was absolutely flying. One witness even talks of 100 miles an hour in that 40 mile an hour limit. But witness evidence is notoriously iffy. It's obvious to me, as an experienced traffic officer, that the X5 was travelling considerably faster than the MX5 to force it off the road like it did.
The crux of the investigation is now to prove who was driving the BMW.
The vehicle was registered to an imaginary person in the north of the country. The vehicle's not insured,
The man found by the dog is the #1 suspect, but Voller needs forensic evidence to prove beyond doubt that he was driving.
What I have to prove is that no one else was driving that car.
The driver's airbag went off in the crash.
The airbags, as they tend to go off, they tend to go off into your face. You end up with saliva, maybe even blood deposited on the airbag.
The forensic experts are hoping it holds the proof they are looking for.
Witnesses have seen him open the door from the inside of the car, which indicates that no one else has got out of the car beforehand. And also, crucially, they've not seen anyone else leave the car. I now have to find evidence to put before a court to prove that.
What sort of fuel consumption do you get then with that?
Very good. When you use it, it's just for show, so
Yeah.
it's not anything that I would use on a normal day.
A lot of people tonight we've spoken to have been approachable, they want to come and talk to us, and something like we've just done now, we get credit for. We've stopped the road, we've gone policing it, we're public safety. Here's his showpiece, they all loved it, they got their photographs and they think, well, you know, the police were really good. I mean, and they've all been well behaved. You know, and they're all showing their piece, and as you can see, they put a lot of money in these things, and they want to show them off. But let's show them off properly, safely, and everybody goes away happy.
In Fareham, the traffic cops are carrying out more inquiries at the home of the man who was arrested in the woods.
Hello, Mr.
Can you tell me what it is now?
Yeah, we're looking for some documentation relating to a vehicle.
A vehicle?
Yeah,
What kind of vehicle?
a BMW.
We own a lorry and we own a four-wheel drive. I've got no BMW.
Okay, thank you. You wanna wait there?
When I mentioned the type of car that we were looking at, his wife totally denied it. Didn't have a BMW, never been in an X5, didn't know what an X5 was, etc., etc.
At the moment, all I can say to you is we believe that he was driving that vehicle. We believe he was. He's already told us he was in that car. Yeah, yeah.
Because yesterday he was at the pub and drinking or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Did he not try and get a lift home or anything like that?
He cannot remember anything after seeing you.
Wise policy as we have it not to drink and not to go in motors when you've been drinking, so the vehicles gets left here, he either walks up or usually gets a lift with, you know.
My experience, I would say that we've already been beaten to it, and if there's any connection with this chap and the van to the BMW, my own gut feeling as a police officer is it's already been cleared.
Lee's wife may never have seen the BMW before, but a CCTV camera outside the caravan site clearly shows that it left moments before the crash.
It shows another vehicle following that vehicle out, then that second vehicle rushing back to the site, and then residents of the site rushing down the road. There's no doubt that what it does show is that X5 is from the Traveller's site. Unfortunately, no one on the Traveller's site has been willing to assist us in our investigation.
Mr. has spent the night in Fareham police station. He was found to be 3 times over the drink-drive limit. Now he's sobered up. He can recall the last time he bumped into PC Connor.
Do you remember Christmas Day last year?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember me now?
Again.
You remember me again? Yeah.
Even though witnesses saw him fleeing the wrecked BMW, it's not been proved he was the driver, so he's being released without charge and without remorse.
Well, only you've got that decision, haven't it? And that's your life.
Normal people, normal, decent human beings would be concerned. Even though it wasn't their fault, they would still want to go to the hospital to see the person, speak to their family and say sorry, even though it's not their fault. But people like this, just, they don't give 2 hoots. They don't care. They've got no emotion whatsoever.
The traffic cops haven't given up on the case.
He's just denying it. He's trying to say, no, it wasn't me. I don't drink and drive, so it couldn't have been me.
Using computer simulation, crash investigator PC Stephen Hoynes has concluded that the sports car was rammed from behind by the BMW X5 and that its driver was to blame.
We can prove that there's been a collision. We can prove that forensically and from the reconstruction. It's very much like a jigsaw puzzle. It's putting all the pieces together and then coming up with a solution at the end of the day.
But a month after the accident, they are no closer to a solution. The results of the DNA test on the BMW's airbag have come back, and they're not good.
The biggest things I was hoping for was that DNA from his saliva would have been on the driver's airbag. No DNA on it was found whatsoever, which shocks me a little bit and knocks back the investigation a little bit.
Fibres and other belongings found in the BMW were also put under the microscope, to no avail. But despite the lack of forensic evidence, is going to be charged. The case against him will be decided by a jury.
Quite often you think you've got a rock-solid case and you haven't. And yeah, I'm not saying 100% on this at all. If we fail on a prosecution with this, I will be upset.
So will Carol Miller.
No, that's my 3 things now.
She spent 3 months in hospital. She suffered multiple fractures to both her legs, 6 broken ribs and a broken back.
It's horrendous. It's the actions of a mindless idiot who's drunk has completely wrecked not only this lady's life, but probably her whole family.
My family had been through hell, really, because everybody thought that my injuries were so bad I was going to die.
Even with 28 years service, I still look at people like her and get annoyed with people who drink and drive.
He shouldn't be on the road. And he certainly shouldn't get away with doing this to me or anybody else.
After a week-long trial at Portsmouth Crown Court, the jury found guilty of causing grievous bodily harm and dangerous driving. He was sent to prison for 4 years.